Welcome to the Truro and Colchester Chamber of Commerce Business Voice podcast. In the coming days, we will be hosting discussions with candidates from all three ridings in Colchester County to learn about their perspectives on issues presented through the lens of business. The Chamber represents more than 450 businesses in the Truro and Colchester region and has been the recognized voice of business for 131 years. Normally, when an election is called, we would welcome candidates to debates and town hall sessions. But this year, due to COVID-19 and public health restrictions, we have chosen to err on the side of caution and host one-on-one discussions with our candidates. Our members have had an opportunity to submit questions in advance on topics of importance to them. This series of podcasts for the 41st Provincial General Election are brought to you by the Nova Scotia Association of Realtors. Okay, we'd like to welcome Tom Taggart, Progressive Party candidate for the riding of Colchester North. So let's start off, Tom, by having you tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks, Sherry. My name's Tom Taggart. I've been a municipal councillor in Colchester County for the past 12 years. I've lived in Colchester or in Bass River all my life. I've been a small business person, and I've been really involved in the community for a lifetime.
Great. Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the issues here that business have identified as some of their priorities during this election as topics of great importance to them. Many of our businesses across every sector are experiencing a lack of human resources to fill labor gaps from skilled to unskilled positions. What is your party's plan to address this critical need to fill these employment vacancies?
So with respect to our party's plan, it's out in we have a policy book or a solutions book that's out, and it's our hope or plan to double the population of Nova Scotia to 2 million people by the end of 2060. We have a plan to work with trades workers aged 30 and under with I don't know if you've heard of if that's been before you earlier, but where if you're working in the trades, and it's my understanding that trades will have a broad definition, and you're 30 years of age and younger, the first 50,000 in earnings will be provincial income tax free, and also grow the population of by promoting Nova Scotia's quality of life, tax advantages for small business, and push Ottawa to increase immigration on allowances. My personal thoughts on that is we have to make Nova Scotia and Colchester County not just the best place in Canada to live, but the best place in Canada to live and work. So that's my thoughts on that. Thanks.
Okay. Well, certainly we know that physician recruitment is directly tied to economic growth in this region, and it is having an impact on the overall health system. It has been a challenge for our businesses locally to recruit new employees and retain them, and due to a lack of family physicians. What is your party's plan to address this?
So the party plan on this, it's outlined in our solutions book, but we need to respect physicians and healthcare workers. We have to reward them adequately financially. One of those plans is, we'll have a physician's pension fund that's tied to a service agreement. And focus on internationally trained grads and Canadians who train abroad. That's an issue I want to speak to very quickly here. I know I'm on limited time, but in the past 20 months I've been trying to recruit doctors for my home community in West Colchester, and on 2 different occasions I had young people, in this case both young men who had married folks from around here that had got their medical training, their doctor's training in other universities outside of Nova Scotia. Within Canada, were not able to get a residency. So that's something that has to be changed. So we're going to do a little bit of virtual health care, plan to open the operating rooms longer, and some work on prevention with a $500 tax rebate for children, young youth that they're into sports or arts or recreation, that kind of thing, and of course committed to 2,500 new long-term care beds, and I forget how many new staffing over the next I'm not sure how many years. That's my comments on that. So my personal comments on that are that I think that we that the doctor recruitment is the most critical part of what we have to do. I think we have to look outside the box and think outside the box on that. I think I personally believe that we have a great opportunity to take advantage of and recruit nurse practitioners. I'm not sure we shouldn't also think about a lot of trained army medics around that could probably fit the bill on some of those things. You know, if I present at the hospital with a heart attack, or at the clinic, I want a fully trained qualified doctor. If I land there with a heart attack, but if I land there and I have got something in my eye, I've broken my finger, maybe I've got a bad back or whatever, I believe a nurse practitioner could do that work and take the burden off those doctors. And I think that's the quickest and the easiest way. It won't not to be easy. I think that's the quickest and easiest way for us to move our way out of that, because the doctor crisis is what's holding the biggest part of the medical. The healthcare issues. It starts right there. That's what's backing up the ambulances. That's what's backing up emergency rooms. So we have to solve that first. That's my opinion. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks for that thoughtful answer, Tom. So one of the things that is of grave concern to business is certainly the taxes that we pay in Nova Scotia, some of the highest in the country. But there's concern around the cost of COVID. When the relief measures are wound down, how will this debt be repaid?
Well, that's a good question. I can tell you that I can't answer that honestly. I think it's time. We have to have a new approach. We have to think of things different, and if we're ever going to not just pay the bills from COVID, but if we're going to really fix our healthcare the way it needs to be fixed, we've got to build the economy. We've got to, like I said earlier, anyway, we've got to make this. We need to make this county or this province not just a great place to live, but a great place to live and work. And so to do that, we have to find new ways to increase to bring people to our community, to want to come here, to put down roots and raise families, and we have to ensure that they have good paying jobs.
So that's a great segue into the next question here, Tom. So the purchase and rental housing supplies are near historic lows in Nova Scotia. In Truro, we're hovering around a 1% vacancy rate. Yeah. How will your party increase the supply to ensure that there's a healthy housing mix that includes the entire spectrum from community housing, rental, and home ownership?
So I'm really going to jump off the provincial party script on this one. I've got extensive experience in housing. I've sold real estate for the last 10 years, and without question, we're in a crisis. And so I just want to go quickly to. So I spent 6 years on the board of Federation Canadian Municipalities, and so our job there was to advocate the national government, and there is tremendous amount of funding available nationally for housing retrofits, for affordable housing and that kind of thing, and that flows to the provincial government. It does not flow to the municipalities in Nova Scotia. Housing in Nova Scotia is a provincial responsibility, and there's been no real effort made by municipalities outside of Halifax. HRM and their charter have been able to take advantage of it, but there's been no real engagement outside of HRM or by the province or the municipalities to work together on this. And so what we have to do is find a way for the municipalities and the provinces and really I think businesses to work together to solve that problem. We have to have. So the first step is to form that partnership. To form that partnership that all the three levels of government and business work together to create housing, whether it's rental housing or whether it's affordable housing for young people. I think we have to start to think about how we can make it affordable for young people to buy a home and establish themselves and put roots down in the community and stay here and work, become residents for the long term. So I think it's critical, again, the only way to solve this is to work together as at all levels of government, along with business, to ensure that the young people have an opportunity to put down roots. That we have housing. Businesses desperately need employees, and those employees need housing. I'm just going to use DeBert for a quick example. I haven't noticed in the last couple of months because I've been at this campaign business. But last summer, you drive in the Plains Road there, and every business had a sign up. Employees wanted. And so we could, I don't know, maybe we need 100 new, maybe 150 new employees out there. Where are they going to stay? Where are they going to live? So we need to encourage that development, and the only way we do that is together. Yeah.
So, Tom, the current procurement process by government makes it challenging for small business to compete.
Yep.
How will your party look at the current procurement process with a lens on increasing opportunities for Nova Scotia businesses of all sizes?
Okay, so the party policy on that, of course, is to allow regions to determine how they spend. Well, one of the ways, on tourism funding, which is a big part of our value proposition, I guess you would call it here, is to allow those decisions to be made locally. This doesn't really answer that question, but it's a place I want to go because I think it's very important. And that Nova Scotia loyalty program that we're promoting, where you get the actual financial credits for buying local businesses. I have talked to some local agriculture people and manufacturers, and that has huge potential. The idea that, and I think that the public, if we can, I better try and describe it a little bit better. So what the loyalty program is you would have a card just the same as your Air Miles card. And if you bought a product, an agriculture product, food or agriculture from a Nova Scotia company, you'll get a 5% credit on that. So you swipe it. If you buy $100, what do you got? You got $5 on your loyalty card. At the end of the year, you go and you buy your license. If you got $200 there, you get your license is free. This is all funded by the government. But what it will do will encourage people. It'll do two things. It'll really drive that Buy Nova Scotia idea, which is absolutely critical. Secondly, the second thing it'll do, and this is coming from farmer friends of mine, for example, in the beef and pork industry, almost all that beef, even though we produce a lot of beef and pork in Nova Scotia, a lot of it's, we don't have the capacity for slaughterhouses and that sort of thing. And the big box stores, the Walmarts, the Sobeys, the superstores, they buy in bulk from those big meat packing plants in Alberta and that sort of thing. We grow the beef, but we send it out there to get it butchered. So with this loyalty program, and if the communities and the public would buy into this, then tell Sobeys or Superstore or Walmart that they want local beef because they want to do the loyalty program, then that will force those companies to buy local beef, which will encourage those food processing, those slaughter, I hate to use that word, those kind of meat packing plants to grow and prosper here in Nova Scotia, to bring them back, and I think that is a huge thing that will happen. It's not short-sighted. It's going to take some time for it to happen, but I think if we buy into that, I am a tremendous supporter of that agriculture and agri-food business. Now we have perennia right out here. We have huge potential. We have an agriculture college. We have some of the best agriculture land in Nova Scotia right here in this central area, and huge potential there through that marketing program. Now I know that I sort of got off your topic there, but it's those kind of things, those kind of long-term thinking. Don't just think to the next election cycle, but we have to invest in our manufacturing. We have to. In my case, I'm very passionate about agriculture, so I like to see us, investing in that sort of thing and working to grow a made in Nova Scotia solution. That increases wages. It creates growth, and that's something I'm very supportive of.
Great. Thank you very much for that answer, Tom. So another topic is red tape. So Currently, there's a high cost to complete the process and the permits that grant permission for business to export products to markets outside of Nova Scotia. It's very complicated process for a small business to achieve that level, to be able to send their products to reach new markets. So how would your party simplify this process for out-of-province exports to improve cooperation between the provinces?
Well, that's I believe whether we're talking locally here with our Colchester North, Colchester South, and Truro-Bible Hill, that we succeed by working regionally. And I think that if we're going to talk about outside of province exports and stuff like that, there should be some kind of regional cooperation within Atlantic Canada. I think that I think that our craft beer, for example, is a prime example of that sort of thing where they're actually, it's amazing that they have to pay to put their product in the liquor store. I just think that and this whole interprovincial regulation, it really, there needs to be. I can't speak for the premier, the leader of our party, or anybody, but it just seems to me that if we're going to succeed, we have to succeed as a region, and we have to be able to have that interprovincial trade. We just have to make things so much simpler. When I during my time at the municipality, we would continue to let tenders, and so there's something we have to be cautious about here. We would continue to let tenders, and let's just say that the tender was for $500,000 for a wastewater treatment plant or something like that, and somebody, a business from New Brunswick, we'll say, or even Halifax, would be able to would get the tender, and their local business would be like 10% off on the price, and we would always want to sell it. We would always want to try and get it so our local business could get it, because we wanted to promote local business. But the problem is, if we do that, then that enables the businesses in Halifax to say, well, the local companies can't work down there, so we need to. And the same thing to New Brunswick. So we have to take all that stuff away so that our businesses here in Colchester County can be Colchester County or Nova Scotia can be competitive across all of Atlantic Canada. We're not reaching outside of those boundaries. There's no need to. There's lots out there for us. So that's the answer, is to reduce those interprovincial barriers, to make sure that our businesses, whether we're growing blueberries or whether we're making windows or furnaces, doesn't matter, or craft beers, level playing field within Atlantic Canada. That's what I want to see.
Well, thank you, Tom, very much for sharing your perspectives and taking time out of your busy campaigning schedule to answer these questions on topics that business has identified as priorities to them. In closing, is there anything else that you would like to share?
Yeah, thanks, Sherry. So really, there's a couple things I really want to touch on here. High-speed internet and cell coverage and greening business. And so I'll be quick on the high-speed internet. We have a contract in Cumberland, Colchester, with a service provider to bring broadband to all of Cumberland and Colchester at a very high level. I guess one of the things we were told, we need to manage expectations. It wouldn't happen overnight, but it is happening, and we need to encourage that further and encourage the business that comes from that. That's on the high-speed internet. The thing I'd really like to talk about is greening business, and this will be strange for some folks, because here we have a PC candidate who believes he's the greenest candidate in the whole in this whole contest, and I just want to focus my closing comments on solar energy. I've been at Colchester County. I've been a champion of solar energy, and I have this vision, and so I want to say that at my time at the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, as I watched other municipalities in Canada get ahead, it's my belief that the ones that were bold and thought big were the ones that really were able to prosper. And so on this green energy, I want to make it so that our businesses here can say that to some degree, when they sell their product, that they've helped to reduce the carbon. I believe carbon is a huge concern, and it will be a marketing tool going forward. And having said that, I think that we are absolutely positively perfectly located for a huge community business solar farm. Instead of one business having whatever 50, however many solar panels on their roof, and a house having 10 on their roof, and everybody trying to find the most efficient way to do that and the best way to locate them. I think that we need to have a large, very large community solar farm strategically located that will benefit all of Colchester and any resident or business that wants to take advantage of that. That would be my, I guess I'll say, outside the box or big thinking on greening. Carbon and carbon reduction are absolutely critical, and I see this as a way to do that. So to the business community, I want to say that I truly believe in business. I believe that business is the only way that we can really grow our community, put COVID behind us, deal with healthcare, and I truly want to be the guy or the person that can work with them, that can advocate with and for them to ensure that we have one of the best places in Nova Scotia, not only to live, but to live and work.